is very real and present for each one of us, and we need to have compassion for it. It usually involves drama and sometimes even trauma. So we honor that, we are present with it, and we know also that there's a greater story being revealed to each one of us. And in the divine story, we have the opportunity to really tune into the presence of God within us, the presence of Source, the presence of light within us. So I'd like to just give a little example of my little story and then the bigger story for me. And the little story for me this week, which was quite annoying, so it brought up feelings, right? Feelings are related to experiences that we have. And my story this week is that I got a clog in the drain in our shower. And that, we take so much for granted in the world. We take so much for granted, plumbing, right? And so here, I was ready to take my shower and I couldn't. And so for several days, it was an issue. So to not be able to have a full shower is an inconvenience. I griped about it, I had my feelings about it, and I got around it. I found another way. And that's the human story. The divine story for me was, what is this saying to me about my consciousness? Where in my consciousness is there a clog, right? Where am I clogged? And the clog for me, I won't go into anything personal, had to do with some things that I was dealing with in my personal life. And so when we can take the human experience and really be present with it, and then allow ourselves to wonder what else could be going on a higher level for me that would be helpful for me to know and tune into and become aware of. So this season, right, there's been a clog. There's been a clog in the delivery of things, right, of gifts. That's been in the news. So people have scrambled to try to find gifts. Where are they going to get it? So it's created this human drama at a kind of in our country. It's been in our race consciousness, we would call that. And so we're all focused on, where do I get the gifts, right? Who am I going to give a gift to? What's the gift going to be? Can I get it in time? And so the gift becomes about the physical form for many of us. And that's how we show our love and affection for one another. So that's very natural. But there's another gift, right? There's the present, and then there's the presence. And so there's the gift that we like to give as an expression of our love to our loved ones, but then there's also the present moment where there's the gift of the presence. We can be in touch with the presence of ourselves. And I think it's easy to forget during this time that it's our presence that is the greatest gift to ourselves and to everyone else. To be able to be present, to be able to be aware and attuned to what's going on is about connection. And that's where we feel the oneness, which is so important for us in this time where there's been, quote unquote, apparent separation at times. And so I'd like to give us a little bit of an experience of being present. Not that you haven't done it before or can't do it on your own, but one of the things that I find with being present is that we have to get down from the head into the body. So I'd like you to place your hand on your solar plexus, which is right above your belly button, or right on your belly button, and just take a nice deep breath. Breathe in. Bring your breath down into your belly and come home to your body. And as you breathe in, feel more of the fullness of who you really are. You drop down from your thinking mind into your sensory body mind. And in this way, you really get the sense of being attuned. And so take one more breath. Deep breath in and out. And if you've closed your eyes, I invite you to just open your eyes, or even with your eyes fully open, just notice how the feeling is different. That you can be present. You can maybe even see me or see what's around you a little bit more clearly, a little bit more fully. And that's all it takes. So the gift of your presence during this holiday season should not go unappreciated by yourself. And being able to be present with those you love and those that you care about, and even those that you can't see in person, just know that being present, even on a Zoom call, can happen, and it is a healing experience. So thank you.
Some of you might be familiar, and I might get cut off on YouTube, but that was Annie Lennox's song, The Gift, which I just love so much. So, thank you, beautiful Gail. That was so perfect, because it allows me to step right into what I wanted to share with all of you today, which is about the theme that has started to unfold for our December talks, where I've said the first Sunday, when we're on a spiritual path, we know that when the world speeds up, we must slow down. When it feels like things are going too fast and there's too much going on in our bodies, our minds, our worlds, our lives, we, on a spiritual path, must slow down. And so you might have noticed that you're more distracted, more easily distracted. I actually think that happened way before COVID, partly because of our smartphones. But then when COVID hit, we were forced to slow down, and we were faced with how challenging that can be. But it can also show us how easily distracted we are. It's my meditation teacher that said years ago that the attention span of a human being is 8 seconds. That of a guppy or a goldfish is 9. So we have less of an attention span than a fish. And so that's telling, right? It's not about shame or judgment or anything wrong, but it's just telling how we are affected by being in a physical body, and it invites us, as Gail so beautifully shared, to be more present, to spend more time having silence. I slow down during the holidays. I don't do anything I don't want to do. And in this year, that includes, I don't want to do a tree, I don't want to do gifts. Well, I do a few gifts, but I love this time because it's a time of quiet and rest. And I put little lights in some places that I spend a lot of time in, where I meditate and read and study and do my practices and prepare my talks. And I enjoy that. And of course, candles. So as we move to the solstice, which is the winter solstice, is this, in our hemisphere, is this Tuesday morning at 10:59 a.m., we are experiencing this balance of darkness and light, but also a standing still, because that's what solstice means. The sun stands still. And so that's a powerful time for reflection. That's why many of the religious traditions chose this time to have their holidays. Talk more about that next week. And so the invitation then for me, and hopefully for all of us, is that it's a time for reflection, to kind of look back and see what happened for us in 2020. In many ways, it was a challenging year because of what's happening in the world and because of COVID, right? But it was also a year that called us to be more present and to be more consciously aware. And so my question to you is, and you can answer it quietly to yourself, is when you look back over the year, how have you grown? Other ways to say that is, what did you learn about yourself, about your life? What have you healed? What have you overcome? What is it that you're letting go of? What has transformed? And maybe which challenge did you overcome? So take a moment to close your eyes and to just not so much listen to your mind, but listen to your body, your spirit, your essence. How have I grown? What have I learned about myself? What have I overcome? What has healed? What was my greatest challenge? And so you can open your eyes again. And this is something that you can practice between now and the new year, to ask yourself those questions and maybe do some journaling. And then bless the challenges. I was listening to a country fellow person from the Netherlands. His name is Rutger Bregman. And he wrote a book on that people are basically good. I forget the title, something like Humankind. And I'm so enamored with him because I heard him on a show and I started listening to his podcast. He's so brilliant. And so the interviewer said to him, so do you think you'll ever write a self-help book? Because the one you wrote sounds like a self-help book. And he said, it's not a self-help book. And some of you know the Dutch are known to be pretty direct. He's very direct. He says, it's not a self-help book at all. He's a historian. He said, no, the next book I'm going to write is How to Have a Difficult Life. He said, because that's how we grow, that's how we evolve. When we look at the challenges that we've had in the past and we use them to learn something from and to grow from, we began to evolve, we began to expand, we were able to take in more love, more wisdom, more clarity, we began to heal. And so I laughed at that and I thought, that's such a great idea. To write that kind of book is how to use challenges for good, right? And so if you think about it, the ways that you have learned this year and the ways that you have grown and the things that you have overcome, those are your gifts to the world. We are here to contribute to the healthy, happy evolution of the planet and its humanity. And so the things that we heal, the things that are our talents and gifts, are our contribution. And the stuff we don't heal blocks that, not just for us. So you can imagine if you or I are blocked by a challenge, how much we suffer. I don't know about you, but I can be tormented by some of my challenges. Can you imagine how that then torments the planet? Because as within, so without. So it invites us to think more deeply about what the world needs and how I can contribute to that need, maybe in a very simple, quiet way. And so the holiday season, and especially Christmas and the other holidays I'm going to talk about next week, is about rebirth. It's about the rebirth of the Christ consciousness within all of us, contributing by means of our gifts and talents and what we have healed and are healing. And that requires a slowdown. That requires alone time. That requires reflection. And I was reading somewhere that loneliness affects our health in the same way as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So I'm not talking about loneliness. I'm talking about solitude. But those who experience loneliness can even turn that around in a way of embracing solitude and knowing when and how to reach out because there are plenty of people that want to support and serve in that way. We just have to think about it and communicate, right? And so Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, says, nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. Have you noticed that? Nature will not let us stay in any one place for too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and advancement of the soul. This human journey is about the evolution of our soul. It's not about so much about our psychology and about the physical experience of life, of gathering more stuff or making more money. It's about the evolution of our soul, and that is a place where we are never, ever alone. Never, ever alone. So this year, we did this exploration of upward movement, exploring universal truth, finding deeper avenues of awareness, and living in the mystery. That was the whole theme this year. And so we arrive at this place of who have we become at the end of the year. And the message is always the expression of light, the return of the light. Whenever we go through any kind of darkness, there's always that moment where the light returns. Whether it's a friend loving you, working with a practitioner, doing a treatment, reading a beautiful book, watching a beautiful movie, seeing a beautiful sunset, whatever it is that brings that little spark back that we then must infuse in the areas where we experience darkness. The return of the light is such a beautiful metaphor because in our teaching, we talk about the 7 qualities of spirit, which we learned from Thomas Troward, where there is love, light, wisdom, power, peace, beauty, and joy. Those are the 7 main qualities of the divine. Where is the divine? In us. So we discover the qualities of light and love and wisdom and peace and power and beauty and joy. And as we do, we see that the winter of our lives is not just experienced between December 21st and March 20, whatever. It's in every moment. And that our light is that gift that we give to the world. To never underestimate that a teeny tiny spark of light can be enough. It doesn't have to be all lit up all the time. And so then we breathe that light into the world. We remember to not just hold it for ourselves, because that's our human tendency, right? Oh, I found a little bit of light. I better keep it and hoard it, because what if it gets taken away? What if it leaves me? Then I was going to say a word I'm not supposed to say. So we share that light, because it's in sharing it that it expands, right? And so I want to read something to you by one of my most blessed teachers, Llewellyn Vaughan Lee, in his book, The Darkening of the Light, which is called Witnessing the End of an Era. This was written years ago, and he basically was talking about what's happening now 20 years ago. That sometimes becomes more clear when it's happening, right? So it's a little bit long, but I'm going to slow it down a bit. So I want you to relate it to your own experience. It will make more sense. But it talks about how much we need to be present in the inner world of light, and the inner light of our being. And that's the kind of light that knows no darkness, right? Universal light knows no darkness. It needs us to step out of our world of duality and meet it with the light of our own spiritual light. To meet the light in its realm of light means we must step outside of so much of what we consider important. And not only our own dramas, but also the conflicts and the suffering of our world. It means we must be attentive to what can be born rather than obsessed with a self and a civilization that are dying. And yet we must not replace the illusions of this world with a spiritual illusion, a fantasy of escaping the difficulties we face in life. To do that is also to deny the light. For this light that is calling to us from its inner realm of light belongs to life itself. It's a light born from the depth of being, from the core of what is. It's the yes of creation. To step into its realm, we need to leave behind the dramas and the conflicts that belong to our ego's version of self and the world. We need to meet it with our own light, that pure awareness within us that belongs to a higher dimension of our being. We are not separate from life, and the light of the world lives within us. We are the light of the world. We carry the consciousness of life's highest purpose within the center of our being. It is present in our every breath. It is our remembrance of the divine, our essential nature, breathing the primal joy of this world. The awakening of the light of the world is our own awakening. As we wake up to our own essential nature and purpose, our belonging to life and to our Creator, which we have for so long forgotten. So we play with the light of our own consciousness, the light of our own heart, the light of our evolution, the light of our personal growth, the light of our healing, the light of the challenges we've overcome, the light of our own uniqueness, our own unique experience of the divine, the light of all the blessings and the gifts that we have the pleasure to receive, the light of all the privileges we have that so many don't. And to really see that, and to really feel that. Can you imagine a little bit more deeply, widely, richly, powerfully, the world receiving your light, your unique light? Now, what is something about you that you call your light? Anybody want to shout it out? What is something that you call your light? That's an aspect of your light.
Joy.
Joy. Just imagine the world receiving your quality of light as joy. And really, she's smiling and laughing. Really spread that. That doesn't just go there and bounce off of something. No, it goes out and it's spread and it expands and it goes around and around and then it comes back multiplied abundantly. Boom! What else? What is your special light?
Humor.
Humor! Yes, humor!
Compassion.
Compassion! So just think for a moment that your humor doesn't just stay when you joke with Gail or with me. It goes out into the world. It's how you share your life. As you share it, it expands and expands and expands. Then it multiplies abundantly and comes right back to you. Boom! Compassion. When we share compassion with one other person, it's not just a little pitiful compassion you share with another person. That's your light that it expands and expands and expands and it multiplies abundantly and then it comes back to you. Boom! We don't see that, right? When we're sad, we can literally take back all that we've shared that then got multiplied abundantly and has come back. Because we don't take the time, we're distracted, we're in our drama, we're worried, we're busy. The most boring word in English language, I always say, that B word, as just an excuse to not be present, right? So, just think that all that, plus your practices, plus your meditations, plus your generosity, plus your kindness, plus your smiles to another human being. I love what's her name? Famous model, African American, adorable. She hosted AGT. No. Tyra Banks. I'm obsessed with her. I love her. So she uses the word smize. Smize means smile with your eyes. I practice smizing all the time when I'm out in public. Even when I'm in the car, I just sit there because people can't see your expression, but you can smize. Smile with your eyes. And just think that is so powerful. So we can share our smizes. We can share so much, and then we cannot stop there. We have to let that in and just really say, wow, that's my contribution to the world, and it doesn't die the moment it's given. It continues, it circulates, it expands, and it comes back to me multiplied abundantly. That makes us angels. We are all the angels from on high. We're being angels in the world. You know, when we know that positive thoughts are angels, have you ever heard that expression in New Thought and metaphysics? We're all being angels, touching the lives of others, especially those who need it. So being the light requires then that we are a little bit lighter. And then as we are a little bit lighter, we can decide to make life a little bit more simple. To keep it a little more simple. To slow down so that we can experience every moment. To see things differently, which is my motto. Do it differently, see it differently. Stephen Covey says, paradigms are like glasses. Paradigms are Yes. Are they depressed? Not really, right? They just, if any of you are a Facebook friend with Sharon McCready's, Morgan will give you a dose. Right? Morgan will give you a dose. To look through the eyes of wonder. To look through the eyes of a child. Rachel Carlson says that a child's world is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. It's our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and awe-inspiring is dimmed and even lost before we reach adulthood. If I had influence with the good fairy who is supposed to preside over all children, I should ask that her gift to each child in the world be a sense of wonder so indestructible that it would last throughout life. Wow. Is what we get to say to all of life. To all of life. Wow. Take time to reflect and see the truth and the beauty and the light of who you are in every moment, even when you struggle. And then decide what it is that you want to hold on to and what it is that you want to release. You don't have to be perfect. It's not done perfectly. I'm proof of that. And then keep tuning into the light of your very being, knowing that's what you're here to shine and that it dissolves any darkness. And just remember that you are so loved, so loved, so loved, that any struggle will dissolve in that love if only you can welcome it, accept it, and believe it. So let's close with a healing treatment. And for those of you who arrived a little late, we'd love those of you who have time to help us out a little bit. We're going to get a little organized today for our move, like an hour and a half. I'll give some direction because Val just came back from Aruba. So Val, you'll see lots of good stuff has happened while you're away. I'm so glad you got to go. All right, let's close with a healing treatment. I invite you to close your eyes and just take a breath into the light of your very being. Just take one breath into the light of your very being. Even if you're sitting here saying, what light? No light in me today. Just be willing to believe there is a light in you, because first of all, you couldn't breathe if there wasn't. Just be willing. A breath into the light of you. And then feel yourself breathing out. Do you know that today we are breathing in and out air from the beginning of history, beginning of life on earth? And so your breath, this next breath, and this next one now lives forever in the universe. And this breath of light is a healing breath, not just for you, but for the world. And so right here, right now, as we open our mind, our heart, our body, our soul to the truth in deeper yet deeper ways, we ever discover more about our essential nature, which is infinite. And each time we discover more about our essential nature, something in us is released because it has healed. It doesn't require a lot of thought, a lot of struggle, a lot of suffering. It requires a clarity, a decision, a willingness, and a surrender to the universal love that is present in everyone, everything, everywhere, all the time. And so today, we commit to slowing down, taking time, allowing ourselves to connect with the light of our being and feel the healing that is taking place, that is our contribution to the world. With awe and gratitude, then, we let the universal law demonstrate this word for us, each of us in our own unique way, trusting our evolution, letting go of the temptation to judge, criticize, or believe that we don't have enough, or we don't do enough, or we aren't enough, which is something that just no longer serves anyone, especially ourselves. And so we are blessed to simply be true to our own individualized expression of God. And so it is.